Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Develop the Ultimate Golf Game. I'm your coach, Nathan Lenhart, and today we're here at the beautiful Richmond Country Club to work on your short games. So let's get into that right now. All right, so let's get into putting here. Okay, so let's go over setup, grip, posture, those type of things. So when we're kind of starting with talking with putting, we've got to know that a lot of things we can kind of make our own. So what I mean by that is some people like to have their feet quite close together. Some like the feeling of getting them nice and wide. That doesn't really necessarily matter so much. I'm more on the line of below the hips with my feet. Kind of same with chipping. So kind of having my feet roughly about hip width apart. From there, getting those knees bent just a little bit, bending from the waist. And the biggest thing when it comes to putting and how the arms should be hanging, things like that, is I want to kind of get this sense, as my arms are hanging here, you'll notice that I'm not looking to lock them out. Okay, as they're relaxed here and hanging, there's going to be a soft little bend through the elbows. Okay, so when I have that and I have them hanging, I like to get the sense that I am bringing the elbows into the sides of the belly. Okay, so I got my hands on here. If I just had them hanging normally, the elbows would kind of be out to the side like this a little bit. To get more of a connected feeling, have learned to be a good putter through more upper body as opposed to just arms. I want to get the sensation that I'm bringing those elbows into the sides of the belly. So now when I'm like this, the inner part of my elbows here are kind of facing more out this way as opposed to where they might be more normally as facing out to the sides. Okay. And when we start looking at the grip, okay, again, there's plenty of different options that we're going to see players using to hold a putter. And a lot of them are great. Okay, again, it's what we can feel comfortable with, confident with, that we're going to be hitting the same, making the same stroke each time. Something that I do like to see when we have a regular grip, where our backhand is on the bottom and our front hand is on the top, a neutral grip, is I like to see those hands opposing each other more. So a lot of times when we're holding on to an iron or a golf club, right, our hands are more kind of over the grip like this. Okay. Whereas with putting, I like to see them more on the sides. The reason for this is at this point, now the hands kind of oppose each other going back and forth, as opposed to this way where we're more used to kind of getting a little rotation happening with the club. For a lot of putters, we don't really want to get too much rotation because that can leave the face open, close it. So by having these hands, finding a way to get these hands more together on the sides of the grip, and that's where we could look at different grip sizes, right? So the sizing of the grip that we have here, mine's pretty small, but I don't have very big hands, so it fits in here okay, fits on the grip okay to the sides. Okay, so as we get those elbows into the sides here, hands kind of opposing each other on the sides of the grip. Now we're going to kind of start talking about the movements to move this putter, but at least my hands are in a position that they don't want to kind of twist the club face too much. So now I want to just talk about ball position. So where this golf ball is located within our feet. Okay, so for putting, typically I like to see, if this was the center of my feet, I'd like to see that ball just in front. Okay, and again, we can play with this to kind of match up and help us get the proper roll for what we're looking for. So some players will have it just inside, quite forward, just inside the front foot. Some people have it a little further back. Now, one thing that we got to understand is that either way or wherever we put the ball, it's going to impact the way the ball launches off the putter. Okay, because a putter is not 100% flat. Okay, there still is some loft. So the front edge of this putter for me is aiming up in the air 4 degrees. So if this putter head came through perfectly flat to the ground, club straight up and down, the ball would launch into the air a little bit, okay? And so that's where ball position, if I played this ball more forward and I came through with that putter head kind of more in front, and I have the loft on the face, that ball is going to jump up and it's going to be bouncing quite a lot, skipping, okay? And then vice versa, if we put it too far back, then this is where we actually start hitting down into the ball, and the ball hits into the ground and jumps up and actually starts bouncing that way. All right, so that's where I like to kind of see it forward of the stance, but not too much. All right, so just in front there. So feet roughly about hip width apart, elbows into the sides, hands opposing each other, little knee bend, bent from the waist. Looking at it from this side, when we look at where this ball is positioned relative to my eyes, how far away. A good reference, and this is something we could do at home, is I want my eyes, so we could say like the middle of the top of my nose, in between my eyes here, to be either over the ball or just inside. So somewhere around this area here, okay? I don't want to see where those eyes are going to be, and this is why I have this ball. We could go and place it up here between our eyes and drop it. So we could see that ball drop just on the outside of that ball, okay? So my eyes are too far that way. So we can get into our posture, and you can use a coin, you can use whatever you like. I just want to make sure when I'm here and I go and drop this, that's going to be landing somewhere inside the ball or just inside. So it's just a good reference point of how far away we should be having ourselves stand from the ball there. Okay, ball position just in the front of center. Let's talk about how to make this stroke now. All right, so what makes the putting stroke? What makes it happen? What should we be feeling? How do we do it? So we kind of watch from this side. We got to know, again, that just like a golf swing, we're not straight on top of it. We're not going straight back, straight through. Since our body's back a little bit over here, there is going to be a mild amount of curve to the putting stroke. It's just good to be aware of that. Now, some people like to have more than others. Some people like to see it kind of curving around, opening and closing a door here. But for myself and a lot of just regular golfers would much rather kind of have that putter feel like it's tracing back and through. Even though there's a small amount of curve, having less variability to it just makes it a little simpler to repeat. So that's just kind of a good image to start with. So once we're in our good posture here, okay, we need to develop a feeling or a sense for you to take this putter back and take it back consistently the same. For myself, there's two feelings that I have to make a putter move, okay, and be able to, if we kind of watch, be able to essentially make the same backswing each and every time. It's not going to be very far off. My two feelings are, I'm going to have my front hand, my left hand here, is going to go ahead and have the sensation like it's pushing the putter away, okay? I'm not trying to pull it away with my right hand. I'm pushing it away with my left. When I'm setting up here too, to begin before I kind of pull the trigger and get moving, is I like to feel like my hands have a little bit of forward press. So this could be part of setup as well, feeling like those hands go forward a little bit. And the reason I like that is because if I have the putter straight up and down and I'm trying to move this putter away, I just feel like I'm more inclined to push this grip like this first and leave the putter head behind. But when my hands are more ahead, now there's a little bit of an angle in the shaft where it feels easier for me to push that putter head away, okay, while kind of keeping my hands in front of the putter head, okay. So I got this sense of pushing this putter head away with my left hand at the same time as my right shoulder blade, my right shoulder is essentially kind of pulling up and back. So when I combine those two feelings of this left hand pushing away and my right shoulder pulling up and back, it just naturally gets my putter to go on a little bit of an arc. But now And we know, I'm sure a lot of you will know, if when you're getting nervous or you got short putts and things like that, a lot of those flinching motions just come from the hands, right? Just kind of being handsy with it. This is now incorporating a kind of a bigger muscle group, a bigger part of the body here to kind of help guide this putter. Where yes, I have that hand pushing away, but that trail shoulder of mine is kind of getting this sense of pulling up and back around me at the same time. So my right hand, my trail hand, essentially is just there guiding the putter, okay? I'm not really using it. I don't feel like my right hand, my right arm is really doing anything in the putting stroke, just providing some stability so that it's, not twisting or, moving all over the place, okay? So I get my hands on there, opposing each other, get that ball position kind of in the front a little bit, in front of center, elbows in. I'm gonna feel that little forward press here, pushing away with my trail hand, feeling my right shoulder blade kind of going up and back, and then just letting it go. All right, so for some putting homework, what I want us to do is find that comfortable position for ourselves. Find that foot width that we like, whether it's hip width, whether it's wide, or where it's a little bit more narrow. From there, letting those arms hang and working on getting those elbows into the sides of the body, okay? Trying to find a way where we can try to avoid our hands being wrapped over the grip too much and getting them more on the sides here. Ball position, middle, or just in front. And then grabbing another ball, and so when setting up to one, that we go and drop it, and just making sure that when we drop it, that other ball drops inside or on that ball that we're gonna hit, okay? And then from there, what I got here is just a great way to kind of introduce an easy way to start learning about starting your ball online, okay? And hitting it solidly towards the center of the club. So what I have here is I got 2 tees where the ball is. I want the ball in the center of the putter. And then I got 2 tees closer together here. The idea is that when I'm putting, I don't want my club to come through and bang into either one of these tees. And we can place those tees as wide as you want in the beginning, make it a little easier, but then we eventually bring them closer together. And as we're putting, we're just trying to make sure we don't hit those ones. Now, as the ball's rolling, our goal is obviously to get that ball to be rolling through here, through the gate in front. So this is working on our putter, trying to hit the ball solidly, but also trying to get that ball to roll through that front gate there. All right, so next episode, when we're talking about putting, we're gonna get into some more advanced things like green reading, leg putting, alignment, things like that. So let's go ahead and get into that bunker right now. I know this is one of the areas that most amateur golfers really have a tough time, just even getting the ball out. But I wanna just talk about some basic setup and technique things here that'll kind of help us get this ball popping out. So when setting up to a bunker shot, I wanna get these feet nice and wide. Okay, I'm not in here hitting a chip shot. Okay, I want to get these feet nice and wide. Build in through kind of getting those feet dug in a little bit to kind of get me a little lower. I want to be, when I do dig in here, I want to get my hands a little further down on the club because of that, okay? I want that club face more open, all right? So I get that club face more open. Now what happens when we open the club face? Is it going to go shorter or is it going to go longer? Right, it's going to pop up more and go shorter. So what does that mean in terms of how hard I swing? I need to add a little bit more speed than I would for a regular chip shot from this position. When that face is open, add in more speed. Now the other thing is that I'm not looking at hitting the ball first, okay? This is obviously where most golfers struggle, is getting a consistent spot in the ground of where they hit. That takes practice. It's not to say that just because you know technique that you're just going to go to the golf course and do it. You don't have to actually go to a bunker, right? If you have something on the ground that can kind of tell you where you're hitting, I like just drawing a line in sand here, right? I don't even need a ball, and it's just trying to get the sensation of, or the feeling of, how do I get that club to come and hit that line each time, right? Just building in some practice, some feelings of tossing this club on that line. Okay, so I got my feet nice and wide. Ball position, I'm going to typically have a little bit more forward of center. All right. Face is open. I like to have the pressure in my feet here touch more on my front side. So right now it's set up, I'll probably have roughly at least 60% on that front foot here. Okay, because I'm trying to actually go into the sand. All right, I'm not going to be hanging back trying to lift it up. That doesn't work. I'll either hit sand first and go nowhere, or I'll hit the sand and bounce off and top it right into the lip of the bunker. I'm trying to go into the sand, but my club face is open, right? So that's where we're using the backside, the bounce of the club, to make sure that this isn't just digging in forever, right? The bounce is there, face is open, hitting more down, right? If you ever watch and listen to on TV, they'll say, oh, you hear that kind of that slap into the sand there, that thump, right? Because they're hitting down into it with the bottom of the club. If we look at it from this side here, you're gonna have, let's say that just over here, these pile of yellow balls, say that's my target where I want the ball to go. You're gonna notice that my feet are not aiming there, okay? One, because that club face, this is the main thing, that club face is aiming off to the right. So if that club face is aiming off to the right, that's majority of where this ball is going to start, okay? So if I aim at my, everything at these balls here and have this open face, that ball's typically gonna be starting off a little too far to the right here, okay? So my whole body is essentially lined up straight. I don't have one part of my body closed or one part of my body open. Everything is aligning a bit more to the left of this target as I open that face. So now as we're going to be hitting and the swing here, I want to be, this is a little different from chipping where, I just have a little bit of wrist hinge. In bunker, I'm going to feel like there's a lot more of this wrist hinge, this angle here, okay? And that's going to allow me to get the feeling of throwing the club head down into the sand, accelerating, okay? We want it to be nice and quick through the sand there, all right? And that's really important. A lot of people don't swing hard enough. They're scared. The pin's only here. It's only like 10 yards, 20 yards away. I don't want to swing like I'm trying to hit at 60 yards, but we got to, right? I'm hitting behind the ball. I would like to hit behind the ball in a sand shot. I don't want to hit the ball first. So I'm essentially chunking the shot, right? I'm not hitting ball first. My club face is open. So both of those things together, I'm not going to hit it very far, okay? So I got that wrist hinge up. I'm going to be throwing down into the ground, trying to think about that line, which I have, which is about 1 to 2 inches behind the ball, trying to hit that line, letting that club head throw past my hands here. So you'll notice it's a pick up, throw, and that club kind of comes up to the sky because I've tossed it past my hands here. As I'm doing that, okay, a little different than a golf swing where we're trying to turn our hands over. In the bunker, I'm trying to keep this club face pointed up to the sky to keep the loft on it. All right, so after I've swung here and I come through here, that face is more like this as opposed to that. If I do turn my club over like this, there's a good chance the ball's going to come out lower, further, and roll a lot more, which could be good for a long shot, but I'd rather keep the same technique in the bunker and just change clubs, okay? And we'll talk about kind of changing distances in the next episode when we talk more advanced stuff for bunkers. So feet wider. One other thing on why the feet being wider is a good thing, it allows me to get my hands lower. Now, getting your hands lower, what it does to the club face is it actually points it more up to the sky. It helps you add more loft. Where I'm like this, my hands here, is not as much loft versus right there, okay? So having my feet nice and wide, getting my hands lower, that allows me to have more loft. And again, that's usually a good thing for most players struggling to kind of pop it up and just stop it where they want, okay? I'm going to feel pick up, really accelerate through here, hitting about 1 to 2 inches behind the ball. Okay, so that shot went a total of, let's say, 15 to 20 yards with that amount of speed and swing there. All right, let's talk about how we can make you a better chipper, just learn how to become a chipper that's more consistent, okay? So when it comes to chipping, setup is crucial. Grip, setup, things like that. And we're gonna talk about the motion of the swing here in a minute. When we're setting up, okay, so obviously since it's a wedge, the golf club's a lot shorter, we're gonna be standing closer to the ball. Typically, when it comes to chipping, I prefer being a little closer, even having my hands down on the grip a bit. Again, that can be a personal preference, but I'm looking for just precision and control around the greens, right? I don't care about full speed and distance here. So the closer my hands are to the club head, the easier I have to kind of control the face and contact. So at setup, a few things that I want to see. Okay, so just like any swing, little knee bend from the waist, arms are hanging, hands are closer than they would be if I was, doing a full swing. From here, I do like to feel like I'm a little bit taller, standing a little taller than I would for a full swing. So since I'm closer, my hands are up a little higher. The reason I want to stand taller is because during the swing, I like to think to myself, stay tall, right? I want to kind of keep that level of my head in the same position throughout the whole swing. That just allows me to kind of turn and brush the grass the same way every time, as opposed to sometimes people kind of dip in the backswing or they stand up, but then they have to react to that in the downswing, right? And that's where, bad contact a lot of times comes from. So if my arms are just kind of hanging here naturally, standing tall, that's going to allow me as we get into the swing, if I can keep that head level the same, easy to brush the same spot, okay? Feet width, I like to see those about hip width apart for chipping and wedges in general. Ball position, I'm going to want to see if this is my center here, right? I want to see that ball behind my center, okay? Ball position is going to be back a little bit. Personally, I want to see the pressure on my left side. So for me as a righty, I want to feel like I'm leaning just slightly to my front side before I take it away. My hands are slightly ahead. And I just kind of keep my pressure here on my front side through the whole swing. There's many kind of variations on how we can chip. This is something that's kind of worked well for me, worked well for my students over the years. Little pressure to the left side, ball position just slightly back, hands are just slightly forward, standing nice and tall. Okay. So kind of some things that we're going to talk about here in a second about the swing to become more consistent. I want to just briefly talk about the grip. A lot of times, when I see a lot of amateur golfers, they come to me with a full swing grip and it's quite strong. Usually battling a slice. So the hands kind of like this helps them close the face more. Whereas that type of a grip around the greens is super hard to become a good chipper, okay? We're gonna see a lot of really good chippers with a weaker grip, okay? So their bottom hand over a touch more. The reason is because when we have a weaker grip, what does that tend to do? It helps us keep the face more open. We can hit softer shots that way, right? Things that just kind of pop up, land softly, which is what a lot of amateur golfers struggle with. They can't get the ball just to pop up and stop. And a lot of times grip has a big part to do with that, because as they're coming to hit it, that tends to close the face. I don't want to close the face if I'm trying to hit it soft. Now, that's great. If we have that kind of grip and that face is closing, that's great. We'll hit low shots that roll. If you're good at that, perfect. There's just situations where you might not be able to do that. So it's nice to kind of learn another way. So around the greens, I like to see players get that grip just a little bit weaker there. And that just allows them to kind of keep that face more open. Okay. So swinging here. there's a few main things I want to see. I've already briefly mentioned the height. I want to feel like I'm staying tall through the swing. So imagine that, you know, I have a line on the top of my head. Until I come up afterwards, that head, I want to stay roughly on the same spot of that line there, okay? That's going to take out one variability of contact for me, okay? Now, the other thing is here, when I'm taking this club away, I'm going to have the sense that it's just like a swing, right? My body's turning a slight bit, my shoulders are turning, my arms are pushing this club away. I'm going to be lifting the club up a touch. There is a little bit of wrist hinge in this swing. I don't want to see too much though, because if we have all that, we got to get back to the ball again, right? And that amount of kind of throwing action is hard to reproduce every time consistently, right? So yes, I want to pick that club up. I want to have a touch of wrist hinge, but that here is all that's necessary. That's all I need to become a great chipper. We can learn different shots by adding more wrist hinge, maybe more flop shots, things like that, specialty shots. But for most part, this kind of action of lifting, touch of wrist hinge is good enough to kind of get us around and become a great chipper. All right. So I have this sense of everything is turning back in the backswing. And when I say that, as you watch my hips, it's not like they're turning a lot, but there's a little movement. I'm not stiff with my lower body. There's a tiny bit of movement. Shoulders are turning. I'm lifting the arms, adding a touch of wrist hinge. So I like to think everything turned back together. Everything's going back together. Lower body, upper body, arms, club. They're all moving back at the same pace. Everything down together. Meaning I want to get everything moving at the same pace to the target. Finish off kind of looking somewhere at the target with my body. A lot of times players come to me, that body doesn't move, it's just armsy, right? A lot of contact issues. We got to free up and learn to let this body rotate here. And the speed of the arms and club and body are the same. They're going together. So stay tall, turn back together, through together. Okay? When you watch that, you're going to notice, obviously I've done this for a long time, and this is one of my favorite parts of golf is chipping. It's helped me make a career for myself, is that the tempo. In this backswing, when I kind of go and transition to the downswing, you'd notice that it's not quick, okay? Almost feels like I'm just hanging out here and letting the weight, gravity, take over, and then I have everything go with it, okay? So back together, hang out, through together. Obviously it's not stopping, but that's the sensation of not rushing, okay? Just letting that momentum of the club naturally falling happen first, and then I let my body turn and everything goes with it. Almost. One thing I want to finish up talking about here is how the club face should be at setup. So these right now, I'm speaking about a basic chip shot, okay? Just a basic shot, not a special one. It's not meant to be a low bump and run or a high kind of flop shot. It's just somewhere in between. So with that, I typically, for myself, this right now is a 60-degree lob wedge. Okay, but I could be, because there's a slope here, I could be using a sand wedge. For me, I'm just using a 60 for this demonstration. I like to usually have my face, the club face, just slightly open, just a little bit at setup. And one of the main reasons, without getting too technical here, is that underneath the club, we have something called bounce, okay? And that helps us, if we hit the ground, If I go and push into the ground, that bottom part allows the club to bounce off the ground as opposed to something where it might just go and stick in, right? And when we stick into the ground, that's the very sharp front leading edge of the club. That means typically our hands are probably way ahead and we're just driving down, things like that. So that's why at setup, yes, my hands are ahead, but they're not ahead a lot, okay? So even if I came through here and pushed into the ground, that club still kind of glides and bounces off the ground. So the more I go and open that face just a tiny bit, that now allows the bottom to do more of that bouncing. So it essentially helps me get away with mishits. And when you're watching on TV, the PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, they don't hit all of them solid, but the result is pretty good, right? Just so you know, that last shot I hit that almost went in the hole, it wasn't hit perfect, right? But no one would ever know that. They're all gonna be around the same area, and obviously that takes practice, but it allowed me to kind of get away with me pushing into the ground a little bit much, that bottom of the club. So opening the face can help with that a bit, okay? So I got my setup, comfortable, my feet are about hip width apart, ball position slightly back. I wanna feel like I'm a little taller. Okay, I grip down on the club a touch. I'm leaning to my front side a bit, hands are just gently ahead. I'm gonna feel this nice tempo, everything going back together, through together, staying tall through the swing. Right. So if we kind of follow those rules, those kind of techniques there, we're gonna be able to hit a lot more solid shots more often, kind of save more pars, make a few more birdies. Okay, so these are some great basic techniques to use to help you become a better chipper. Next episode in chipping, we're gonna get some more advanced things, maybe flighting the ball a little differently, lower and running, or a little bit higher. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed that and can take away a few pieces to help you around the greens. So make sure to tune in to next episode as we talk about some more advanced techniques in the short game. So we'll see you next time on Develop the Ultimate Golf Game.